Oh, I'm in jail. No. Oh. When I was a little girl, my favorite book was Tales of Spirits, a collection of stories penned by the late Countess de Barneville. Not all were about fairies or magic, but most were about adventure. Brave young shepherdesses frightening the wolves away from their flock, handsome tailors who won the hearts of lonely princesses, knights and dragons. And then there were the darker tales, the stories intended to frighten children into obedience. Those were the stories my mother read to me. Lovely. There was the story of Tomba the Troll Slayer, who celebrated his victory over one monster with dancing and feasts until he collapsed with exhaustion, and then the troll's mate returned, cut off his head, and used it as a drinking cup. Or the two brothers who met a witch in the woods and promised to watch her chickens. One kept his promise, and the witch gave him a handful of jewels. The other was distracted and ran off to play, and the witch turned him into a slug and fed him to her birds. Or the story of Absalyn, a little girl who fell down a well. Instead of using her wits, she cried and cried and cried, until at last she drowned in her own tears. Pretty grim. These are the thoughts in my mind as I stand in the dungeons of the Palace of Guelenor. I do not scream, because there is no one to hear me, no one who would make any difference. I do not cry, because there are better uses for my strength. Patience. Not escape, not yet. I need to know more about what's going on before I try anything along those lines. The guards may not be entirely incompetent, and a failed attempt would only land me in greater trouble. Therefore I wait, and I think about the mysteries I am faced with, and about revenge. Dolores. Who is she, really? Certainly not just an orphan peasant girl. I recognized earlier that she had to be someone's agent, but in all the confusion over Callum and Cassidy, I let that thought slip my mind. Weakness. I should not have been so distracted. And to think, I almost felt sorry for her. I even cut her bindings. But how did she do it? How could she turn the situation around so completely? Did she convince one of the others to betray us, or did her mysterious benefactor step in to save her? Callum, Cassidy, Oscar. Where are they now? Are they all right? What are they doing? Do they know what's happened to me? Did one of them order this? What am I going to do? So many questions. As dungeons go, my current environment is not so bad. It is certainly a far more pleasant place to be than the tunnels which Prince Callum led us through. The windows let in a bit of light and enough breeze to carry away the worst scents. I can even catch a few glimpses of green. The metal bars are strong and firmly set. This is not a way out. Still, a hand can easily fit through these gaps, and that does present possibilities. There's my bed. The view behind me is less picturesque, but acceptable. I have space to move around, and that space is largely dry and relatively clean. The bed even comes with a rough blanket, and is more comfortable than where I slept last night. But now is not the time to sleep. I need to be ready to catch every clue so that I can plan. What clues are you going to find in a dungeon? Dots. It's so quiet in here. There's no one but me. More dots. What if no one ever comes? Oh dear. Dots. I am staying calm. I am prepared. Dots. I can't wait here forever. Oscar might be in trouble. I must do something. Dots. Oh, footsteps. Maybe now I'll get some answers. Hooray, no more dots. Oh, it's gotta be Oscar. He's the only one that says Maddie. Maddie! Oscar! Aww, you guys. Forgetting promises, forgetting decorum, I thrust my hands through the bars to capture his. I'm sorry, I should never have let them separate us. What happened? I don't know, they split us up. When King Praedric finally came to talk to me, he started saying that I've misunderstood the situation. Because of course Prince Callum didn't kidnap his sister, and apparently that servant didn't either. They're off limits. What? Saving face. Politics. Of course. Never mind that Prince Callum hated his parents enough to rob their treasury and kidnap his sister. Never mind that Princess Cassidy's life was in very real danger. Never mind that the king and queen have been mistreating their son and daughter for years, lying to them and keeping them apart. The first priority of the crown is to protect itself. Callum abducting Cassidy would be a scandal. Therefore, they claim it didn't happen. But things have gone too far to dust away the whole situation. Everyone in the palace knows that Cassidy was missing. At least a dozen must have seen his return. The king and wisdom have to admit that someone laid hands on the princess. That blame should have fallen on Dolores. She was, after all, guilty. But for some reason that I cannot yet divine, it seems that the king has other ideas. I wish I knew what those were. They can't be blamed, so someone else has to be. And that means you and I. Yes. I don't understand it. Callum, sure, the royal family doesn't want to be embarrassed. But the page? She's nobody. Apparently not. So, what is the official story? They said if I didn't agree, they'd have you executed. Oh. Just tell me. It's okay, Oscar. The story is that you were behind the whole thing. Only you. You wanted to make me look like a hero, and I knew nothing about it. Blaming Oscar, after all, might cause an incident between the two kingdoms. So I'm the villain. What is it then? Flogging? Branding? My thumbs? No! I would never let them do anything like that to you. Well, good, because I don't think I could let them do it to me either. They need your silence to pass their fiction, don't they? What did they offer? You have to stay here in the dungeon until we leave. Then, once you're out of Guelinor, you never come back. That's all? Well, they also want you to confess. In public. That way it doesn't look like a cover-up. Great. But it's good, because once they proclaim that you're just banished, they can't change their minds. So it'll be okay. I guess. That's right, isn't it? You'll be safe. It's not even a real punishment. I know I wouldn't want to come back here. No. It's certainly better than being tortured or killed, but not a real punishment. What will his parents think when we return to Ascendaware? They too have reputations to protect. The full weight of the scandal will fall upon my shoulders. I don't believe that they would harm me, especially not with Oscar to speak for me. But I would, by necessity, be cast out, unemployed and unemployable. Not a one of my ideas for supporting myself would survive in such circumstances. Oscar can't see it. He's so pleased that he's protected me, saved me from a horrible fate. He doesn't know what this will mean. Well, he didn't save you from a horrible fate. At least you still have your life. Come on. But what else can I do? If the Crown of Guelinor is determined to make me a scapegoat, a scapegoat, I have no leverage to convince them otherwise. I could attempt to escape and flee, but what would become of Oscar? Even if he ran away with me, the scandal would follow us. I will not give up all hope. At least if I take the blame, then Oscar will be declared innocent. And if we return safely to Ascendaware, and his parents are grateful for what I've done, perhaps they will have me quietly pensioned off. I can't risk losing that by fighting a useless battle. Until I find some other card to play, I must submit. You're right. It's not so bad. I'll visit you all the time. I'll bring you books and food. No! I let go of his hand, stepping back from my cell door. You can't. I'm supposed to be the evil villain, remember? And you're the innocent victim. I betrayed you. If we're going to do this, if we're going to play along with their fiction, we have to do it all the way. Otherwise, we lose everything. You have to pretend to be angry with me. You have to stay away. I can't just abandon you. Yes, you can. It's only for a week or so, right? I'll survive. We both will. And maybe some distance between us will allow these ridiculous emotions to run their course. Whatever you do, you have to take care of yourself. You have to stay safe and stay out of trouble. I won't be there to clean up after you, right? So don't get any wild ideas about poking around solving mysteries. Maddie. You go on now. Don't leave them waiting. Tell them I understand and I agree. I don't like leaving you here. Oscar. Royalty aren't supposed to do what they like. Maybe I don't want to be a prince anymore. What good has it ever done me? No, that's not true. It brought me you. Go on already. Fine, I'm going. I can't see him, but I can hear his footsteps slowly retreating. Every time I force him away from me, I wonder if this time will be the last. If this time, he will never return. There's a little voice in my head screaming at me to beg him to come back, plead with him not to leave me here alone in the dark. Oh. But there's no point in screaming. I'm not listening. Oh. Time slips by, unmarked and unknown. Having obtained my submission, the forces set against me are in little hurry to make use of it. Instead, they are busy setting the scene. What is politics, after all, but theater? Only when the audience is in place am I summoned to deliver my lines. The presentation hall of the Kingdom of Gwelinor is not so different from that of my homeland. They are both places that people gather to see and be seen, to make proclamations, and to apply the combined force of centuries of tradition to all that occurs within. If I were at home, the crowd of nobles and attendants and hangers-on would be freckled with familiar faces, friends and rivals alike, come to witness my humiliation. Here the knowing eyes are fewer, but I cannot escape into anonymity. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. After this, everyone will remember my name. Oh, the steward. We haven't seen you in a long time.
Madeleine Valois of the Kingdom of Ascendaware. You stand here today accused of high felony against the crown of Gwelinor. You have subjected our rightful heir, the Princess Cassidy, to assault and false imprisonment.
Where is Cassidy, anyway? I don't see her in this crowd, nor Callum either.
You have inflicted physical harm upon your master, Oscar of Ascendaware.
But Duke Farad, he is there, watching me through narrowed eyes. Prince Gaston and Prince Nazagi as well.
You have acted on your own and against orders in the pursuit of your own glory, and brought shame upon your country.
Okay. It's weird that Callum and Cassidy are not here. I noticed that they are not accusing me of murdering the guard we left outside the gates. Did they even realize there was an assassination attempt? It would be nice if they used some of their resources to investigate the actual threats to the crown. Assigning all blame to me will make it that much more difficult for them to bring charges against anyone else. Unless, of course, that is the idea, to allow their enemies to feel more secure in the hopes that they will overreach. That's a very risky game to play with Cassidy's life. But they haven't asked for my opinion, have they?
What is your answer to these charges?
I admit my guilt, and await His Majesty's judgment. There he is. There is a brief outburst of curses and condemnation before King Priedrick holds up his hands for silence.
As Miss Valois is not a citizen of Gwelinor, she cannot be given the full penalty for treason. She was also admitted to our lands as an honored guest, and is entitled to certain protections of hospitality.
An ugly murmur starts to build in the crowd. They've heard what I've done. They don't like the idea that I might get away with it.
Thanks to the heroic actions of our son Callum and the page Dolores Orpha, Princess Cassidy has been safely recovered. It is our belief that the greatest harm done in this affair has been to the Kingdom of Ascendaware.
Oscar. I can see him, standing with the wisdom, his face turned away. Oh, Oscar.
Therefore, we will honor our relationship with that kingdom. The criminal will be kept in chains until such time as she can be returned to her homeland. There she will receive whatever punishment her sovereign ruler sees fit to assign, as is his right.
Oh, clever. They've managed to make it look as if they're doing Ascendaware a great favor, while at the same time putting pressure on them. I am not so paranoid as to believe that the entire affair so far has been arranged to bring about this outcome. Neither I nor Ascendaware is important enough in the scheme of things to be worth so much effort. No, this is simply the result of the great game of politics. A skilled player never lets any opportunity for gain slip by unnoticed. Unfortunately, my current position leaves me little in the way of opportunity.
Do you have anything you wish to say for yourself?
Well, with enough wishes, we could put the world in a bottle. Yeah. No, my lord. I thank you for your mercy and your wisdom.
So be it. Take her away.
Great. Back to the dungeon. Dots again. So, this is what all my hard work has come to. Alone in a cell in a foreign land. I have not failed my duties. Oscar is protected. Even Cassidy is safe for now. Or is she? I have known Cassidy only briefly, but it is difficult to imagine the kind and caring princess I met going along with this charade. And neither Cassidy nor Callum was present at the audience. Has something happened to them? King Priedrick and his wisdom Paloma have shown themselves willing to mislead and manipulate their own children in the past. There may be schemes underway that I have not yet guessed. What of Dolores and her mysterious protection? She too was not present to hear my sentence. What reward has she received? Perhaps I acted hastily by agreeing to take this fall, but my options at the time were extremely limited. And still are. I'm trapped in here. I need eyes and ears on the outside, or I can't risk taking any action. But who would possibly come to my aid? Oh wow, so many options. I guess this is how you do the different routes. So yes, Oscar... Yes, Oscar will come to my aid. He's not going to listen to me. To stay away. I told him to stay away, for his own sake. I don't know if he will listen. I want to find out what's going on, but for now, all I can do is wait. Chapter 5D, The Squire. Oh, I like this music. I sit on my prison bed, absently toying with a bit of loose string. I am not being mistreated. They've even remembered to feed me. Not pastries and tiger nut milk, of course, but not pig slops either. The amenities don't go so far as to include a bath, but, well, one can't have everything. Isolation is meant to be its own form of torment. In time it will be, I know that. For the moment, though, the solitude is peaceful. I've been kept on edge for too long, worrying about my future, worrying about Oscar, watching those around me for signs of violence and betrayal. Now it's all out of my hands. There's a kind of freedom in that. Memories, dreams, and fantasies swirl unfettered in my mind, replaying past events and imagining how they might have turned out differently. Not to obsess about what I should have done, but things that would have been too dangerous or ridiculous to consider, and the amusing outcomes they might have provoked. What if I had attended the ball that first night? What if, as in the Cinder Girl's story, some magical patron had bestowed a jeweled gown and golden slippers upon me out of nowhere? I would enter unannounced, my hair wound with pearls, my face hidden behind a mask of silk, and conversation across the room would cease as all the guests caught sight of me. Then, like a rush of waves, the whispers would begin. Perhaps they would have imagined me to be a foreign princess in disguise, or even the true Princess Cassidy, for those who believe the rumors of an impostor. Men would have lined up to seek my favor, each seeking to outdo the last with his wit and beauty. Oscar, of course, would have recognized me. Perhaps not consciously, but he would have been drawn to that mysterious woman by undeniable instinct. I would step out from my crowd of suitors, leaving them all behind, and offer him my hand. We would have danced together in the sight of all, and he would never have gone walking with Princess Cassidy and her roses, and then none of this would have happened. No, that is not a fantasy worth thinking about. Better perhaps to imagine that I would meet a man from a small and eccentric family, a man without sisters, whose family would agree to settle their assets upon the shoulders of a clever bride. And if that man lacked some of Oscar's charms, such would be what I deserved. Even in a magical gown, I am not a princess. Or perhaps I should take the gown and slippers and trade them to a proper princess in exchange for a better position, or sell them for coin. That's far more useful than a few fanciful moments in a ballroom. I don't need to find romance. I need a new center, a home, a piece of the future that I can build and defend for myself. Moldering here in this cell, I can almost sympathize with that page's desire to steal the royal gold and run away to make her own life. But was that really her desire? It seemed believable. A frustrated, disloyal servant lashing out against her masters and taking the opportunity she saw to benefit herself. It's no more than one might expect from a street girl with no sense of propriety, no respect for the natural order. But then we returned to the palace and everything turned upside down. For Dolores to be preserved at my expense? She can't be a simple street girl. She must be of great importance to someone with power. Why then would she be trying to run away? Was that all of a ruse? A feint to draw Prince Callum into action? Is she a cat's paw used without her knowledge? Or a pawn in a more dangerous game, one that she would rather leave behind her? I was too hasty in blaming Dolores for my predicament. She is no innocent, but she cannot possibly be the force pulling the strings. That's true. Blast, there's too much I don't know, and it would seem that I have failed at distracting myself with simple fantasies. At least I'm not thinking about Oscar. Oops, too late. Oscar, are you trying to be a bird?
Go, go.
I must be imagining that.
Go, go.
That sounds like Oscar. But it can't be Oscar, because I told him not to come here. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't. Would he? Mm-hmm. He might. Just in case, I walk to the door and peer out through the bars. There's no one there.
Wrong way.
What? Does that mean... Oh no! Hey, Oscar! I spin on my heel and stamp towards the window. Outside, through the bars, gleams a familiar shock of blonde hair. What are you doing out there?
Taking an interest in my future.
What?
I've always been letting myself drift along and only handling my responsibilities when you told me to. I was enjoying myself too much. So now it's time for me to make my own plans. With your help and advice, of course.
I see. And what plans might those be?
I intend to win the hand of Princess Cassidy.
Oh. Yeah. Oh. This is a good thing, right? Isn't it? You said before that you didn't want anything to do with Gwellinor.
Well, it's a very strange place. The people here, the king and his wisdom and their crazy, vicious son.
Clearly, he hasn't forgiven Callum for overpowering him. Twice.
None of them can be trusted. They're scheming and treacherous even when there's no reason to be. But Cassidy's not like that. She's a nice girl. And if I were king, I could change things here for the better.
That's very sensible of you. But that doesn't explain what you're doing here now.
For your wisdom and advice, of course.
I've been giving you advice on that subject for quite a while. You should know how to court a princess.
Actually, there are a few things that we haven't talked much about.
Oh? Such as? He can't mean what I think he means.
How to get past a guarded door?
Cassidy is under guard?
She might be. It would make sense. No, what I meant is that I am under guard. They've locked me in our rooms for my protection.
If you've been locked in, how did you get out there? He holds up a hand. He's wearing one of my gloves. You climbed out the window? What were you thinking? What if you'd fallen? You could have broken your neck. You could have been...
Madeleine. Which one of us put the robin's nest back up in that big maple after the storm blew it down? One-handed?
You like trees more than I do.
I can climb. You know I can.
It's dangerous.
It worked, didn't it? Anyway, it wasn't that far down. I think Princess Cassidy's rooms are up in the tower. That would be harder.
Not to mention that if you tried to break through her window unannounced, her guards would probably shoot you.
See, that's why I need your advice. I know I probably shouldn't be out here for too long in case someone gets suspicious. Once I'm back in our rooms, what should I do in order to get through to the princess?
Well, that's not going to do anything, is it? Send her a message. Surely they'll pass along a message. The guards are holding you in protective custody, you said. Because you've been officially declared innocent and all the fault is mine, so they can't call you a prisoner.
right?
In a sense, you're still an honored guest. That means you can likely command privileges that I cannot. You may be able to make requests or send messages. That's probably the best way to contact Princess Cassidy.
I could send her a poem.
Oh no.
I know, you think that's a terrible idea.
Not necessarily.
What? You hate my poetry.
I don't think your poetry is very good. That doesn't mean I hate it, and it doesn't mean she will either. A certain amount of awkwardness can be endearing in the right circumstances. From what I've seen of Cassidy, I think she'd appreciate being complimented, even if the art was lacking. Oh, Madeleine.
That's not fair. I can't decide whether you're picking on me or helping me.
Maybe both. Whatever you do, make sure to request an answer. Flattering her isn't the most important task right now.
It isn't?
I don't know about you, but I haven't seen or heard from Cassidy since events took a bad turn.
Do you think something might have happened to her?
There's no way to know. Is she alright? Does she know what's been taking place? Does she agree with it? The most important thing for you right now is to establish communication of some sort. The guards may read your messages. You can't say anything suspicious. You can't ask about me. But if you request a reply, then anyone interpreting will know that you will notice if no answer arrives. Therefore, either they openly insult you, or they fabricate the answer, or they deliver your message.
That makes sense. You're very clever. But you know that. I should get back in case anyone decides to have a look inside my room. I don't know when I'll be able to return.
You really shouldn't be down here. It wouldn't do your cause any favors to be caught.
I don't intend to leave you out of the loop. One way or another, I will send you word. When I have something to say, that is. I don't know when that will be.
It's almost like he's trying to reassure me. Something of a reversal from the usual. I understand. I'll be alright.
Good. Take care of yourself, Maddie. I'll talk to you when I can.
I only nod. And then he's gone. After that, he grips the stones above him and begins to pull himself up. I can't follow. I can't even call after him without the risk of alerting the guards. Better than to look away. It's so strange, seeing him like this. After all these years, I've become too accustomed to Oscar following my lead. I should be pleased to see him more assertive, more active in planning for his future. Proud even, as it would demonstrate that my guidance had been all for the best. I was pleased before when I first realized how he must have outsmarted me in order to purchase that necklace without my knowledge. Why then do I feel so confused? Why does the cell seem more lonely than it was before? I refuse to believe that I'm reacting this way solely because his plans now involve actively wooing Princess Cassidy as a bride. We both agreed that was the best course for him. Best for both of us. No, best for all three of us, it would seem. Cassidy is a sweet girl, but wholly at the mercy of her treacherous family. As king, Oscar's kindness and honesty would bring much-needed change to Guelinor, and as a couple, they would surely be able to negate my disgrace, perhaps even offer me an advisory position. Cassidy's sheltered upbringing might leave her lacking in certain aspects of wisdom, and I would be of service to her. Everyone benefits. It is an ideal situation, completely practical. Therefore, the root of my unease must lie somewhere else. I'm sure. Most likely, I am only finding it difficult because Oscar is in some degree of danger, while I am trapped and unable to aid him. I'm sure that everyone feels that way when someone they have trained or protected goes out into the wild alone. A teacher for a student, one friend for another, a commander for a recruit. Any of those relationships might trigger the same emotions. Nothing to be ashamed of. Here in this cell, there is nothing for me to do but sit and wait and try not to worry. I must be calm and patient and allow time to pass.